there. I'm Nadira Jamal, hostess of the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse online radio show. Welcome to this special interview series with instructors from the 2015 Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. The intensive, now in its final year, will be held September 10th through 13th at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. To make sure that you don't miss out on this epic event, visit bellydanceintensive.com. My guest is Ustadza Azra, who will be teaching Zills, dynamic zilling for tribal and cabaret. Ustadza is a belly dance performer and teacher based in Prescott, Arizona. Her background is in tribal belly dance, and she loves to incorporate vintage oriental movement whenever possible. Ustadza's specialty and passion is zilling, and her goal is to inspire students to pick up a pair and start playing. You can check her out at ustadzaazra.com, which is spelled USTADZAAZRA.com. Thanks for joining me, Ustadza.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about the workshop that you'll be teaching at the intensive?
Yeah, this workshop is designed to introduce dancers to a different way of learning and teaching Zills. Participants will be able to learn a notation system, which will allow them to play patterns months or even years later. Groups and soloists will be able to create live music with their finger symbols, and this is going to be a very interactive workshop. Even when we're not wearing our Zills, we're going to be bouncing around the room, and I tend to be a visual learner, so there's going to be lots of props.
Mm-hmm. And is any existing Zill experience necessary for this one?
It would be good to have a little bit of a Zill experience in this. The beginning of the workshop is geared towards all levels, but then during that second half, it might be a little bit overwhelming for those who have never picked up a pair. But I am releasing a DVD in the fall, which will cover the material that's in that second part of the workshop, so the material can be reviewed in that as again.
Excellent. Now, Zills are obviously a really big topic, and there's a lot that you could be covering. Can you tell us what angles or approaches you're going to be covering?
Yeah. One of the things that one of my students had asked me about maybe 2 months ago, she asked why she shouldn't use dooms and text to describe Zill patterns. And I thought about it for a while, and then I asked her, where's the doom and the tech on a piano? It doesn't really exist. Dooms and techs are sounds made by hand strikes on the doom deck. And when I wrote doom tech on a piece of paper, she played it one way, I played it another student played it another way. So it doesn't really allow for consistency unless someone has actually played it for you. And then there's the doom coffee shop, which again caused some issues because some students don't know how to grow from that. One student just started writing down words thinking that she could do that and create Zill patterns, but then it ended up clashing with the music. So with this workshop, it's really geared towards learning the notation style that will allow you to create the own patterns. It will allow you to see the bigger picture so that you're able to grow. And then once you have the understanding, the foundation needed to create your own Zill songs, it's just going to be a whole lot of fun. And it can be really handy when a sound system crashes, which has happened to me. And also, let's face it, most dancers don't have access to musicians who know how to play for belly dancers. I live in a very, very small town in Arizona. There's only one Middle Eastern musician here. And dancing with live music versus recorded, it just adds that special magic to a number. But if you try to do a Zill song and you're just doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for a 3-minute song, it's going to be pretty boring, and it needs variety and layers in order to make it beautiful. And that's what we're trying to do in this workshop, is really make the most out of our zilling.
Mm-hmm. And when you say Zill song, can you tell us what you mean by that?
It's where you're creating, the Zills are no longer just accents. You're not just going clink, waiting for music, clink, waiting for music. You're really making a dynamic composition. You are creating something that someone could maybe even listen to on the radio if they were really into finger symbols. It's something that has changes in it and variety to take you through almost like I can think of a dance journey in a song.
And is this meant to be done completely a cappella or over existing music or both?
It can be done both ways. It's like with the Zill patterns and that you're going to be learning, and also the notation system, you're going to learn how to create it if you are going completely a cappella, it's like, and it's just going to be Zills, or how to make it so that you're not zilling over the music, which is really important because sometimes we get really excited that we're able to have the energy to be able to zill all through a song. But then I've seen it where dancers in their excitement will end up zilling completely over the music. Even when a slow part is happening, you hear the zills going at full speed, and there are no pauses in it, no time for breath inside of the music. So we want to kind of get away with that. So this is where you're able to learn how to use it with the music, and also to just have it where it's just finger cymbals.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit earlier, you mentioned covering different layers with the Zills. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, by layering, I mean in creating different Zill sounds, but also layering when you're inside of a group, or even having the audience help you create that layers. Sometimes when we're zilling, it sounds a little bit lonely, so to speak. It's like when we're just doing one part of the song. But when you have an orchestra involved, a flute alone compared to a flute with a violin, compared with a flute, a violin, and a cello, that's the type of layering that I'm talking about. Just last week with my advanced beginner students, we were able to do an entire song just with using their zills, with using their hands, with using their feet, and it just created a more dynamic experience for the audience.
Mm-hmm. So besides being really badass, what are some of the advantages of, really going deep with your Zills?
What I found was that it made me pay attention even more to the music. You're always paying attention to the music because you're trying to figure out what combination to do, what step to do. But by playing the Zills with the music and really listening for where the Zills should come in, it actually made me hear different things in the music where I could play with it with my body with different steps. So having that different layer there of zilling with the music, it really just ends up making you, it's like a stronger, I guess, in increasing your musicality. It ends up increasing your musicality in your movements.
And who would you say this workshop is most appropriate for? I mean, we've already talked about Zill experience, but are there particular styles or dance levels or personalities who would get more out of this?
It can appeal to all different dance styles, whether you are cabaret or tribal, whether you're group or soloist. It is really for those who want to add that extra layer to their performance. And again, it's like to have that audience participation level that can just brighten up the show. And if you are an intermediate dancer, or if maybe you aren't really sure about your Zills, they've maybe been annoying you all this time and you're mad at them because they make your hips stop, this is a good workshop to attend, because then you're going to learn how to get them to work with you.
And what made you decide to offer this at the Vegas Intensive this year?
I fell in love with the Las Vegas Intensive. It was my first year attending in 2014, and the feeling that I got there, everyone wanted to share. It was just such an open and positive experience. And when I went up there on stage, which was totally by chance, one of the vendors told me that a spot opened, and I thought, hey, let me go up there. And I did a Zill number with about 30 minutes between me being shopping and then me being in costume on the stage. I did it, and I got a lot of positive feedback from that. And some people were asking about how I ended up creating the song. So I thought, hey, maybe this is something it's like that I can actually share with the Vegas Intensive. And I was so happy to be chosen, especially considering that this might be the final year of the intensive.
Hmm. And I saw the video of that. I was actually in a session while you were on stage, so I didn't get to see it, even though I was physically there. And I'm a really confident Ziller, and I still learned a bunch of things I wanted to steal from that. So I can be your backup that this lady knows what she's talking about. So is there a tip from your session that you could share with us now so dancers can start trying this out?
Yes. If you do not like the sound of your Zills, you will never practice them. Purchase a pair that speaks to you. Put them on and start walking. When you start to play them as you move, you're going to get more comfortable dancing with them. When I go out camping and hiking, I bring a pair of wooden Zills with me. They kind of sound like coconut halves clacking, which means that you can follow people and pretend to be the horse, like in Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail, which is a whole lot of fun. But you can Zill anywhere. I've Zilled at the Grand Canyon, and it's really good practice just to walk and Zill at the same time.
Mhm. That's actually how I got control over my Zills, except I did it in my dorm room with the same song on repeat for 2.5 hours. And for the first half hour, I was just like lurching. And by the end of it, I was walking with some hip clicks. And really, just walking and playing makes such a big difference. So I second that recommendation. So what are you most excited about for this year's intensive?
I'm really looking forward to taking the workshop with Mel Tafsut, because I was able to learn from her at the Arab Dance Seminar last year, and she's phenomenal. And I'm just really, really excited to be back into the magic bubble that is the Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. Again, to be just surrounded by dancers who are so eager to learn and eager to share.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Ustadza.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. If you'd like to learn more from Ustadza, you can check her out at ustadzaazra.com. Again, that's spelled USTADZAAZRA.com. Or better yet, join us at the intensive. This is the last time that this epic event will be held, so don't miss out. You can register now at bellydanceintensive.com. And to listen to more interviews with our fabulous instructors, visit bellydancegeek.com/Vegas 2015.